Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Aether Hub. Today I have with me Mike from Mythic Tales, and we're going to be delving into some Magic 2019 spoilers. We just got a lot of them just yesterday, Monday, so we have a lot to look at and a lot to discuss. I'm not very good at Standard, but Mike is, and he's going to help me out just dissecting some of these cards.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on here, Seiben. Let's take a look at our first one.
Yeah, let's get right into it. So first, let's take a look at Infernal Judgment. This mono black instant spell, exile target colorless creature, you gain life equal to its power.
And then we did a quick translation. The flavor text says, as soon as these intruders leave, Zendikar will be my throne, my palace, my playground. And we talked about this, and we don't know who the demon is.
Not at all. Not even a little bit. But Mike, that was a very impressive demonic voice, just letting you know.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, so one thing about this card that I really like, outside of the actual card text and what it actually does, is the fact that the art is like a parallel image to a card that we got in Battle for Zendikar, a card named Grip of Desolation, where it basically just shows what you can probably see on the screen here, an Eldrazi just gripping an angel and crushing it to death. This is a demon grabbing and crushing an Eldrazi to death. So really nice parallels there.
Yeah, the cycle continues.
Yeah. So what are your takes on the card itself though, Mike?
Yeah, as far as playability goes, right now in Standard, I'm not too certain this is going to see a lot of play. It's very obviously not good in the main deck. You know, being limited to colorless is extremely narrow, you know, because Magic is all about the colors that you're playing. But we have seen, you know, quite a few colorless creatures over the years, the Eldrazi, for example. So Modern definitely could see some play. You've got Eldrazi Tron, just straight Eldrazi, all sorts of things. I think they definitely could have used this during the Eldrazi winter a few years ago. Might have made things a little more balanced.
Yeah.
But right now in Standard, we do have vehicles. So Heart of Kiran is definitely a juicy target for this thing. You know, you just pay 1 and you get to take it out for, you know, and gain 4 life. Unfortunately, it doesn't work great against Scrap Heap Scrounger. It's not an exile effect, so, you know, you're just kind of time walking the opponent's Scrap Heap Scrounger and only gaining 2 life. Not a great trade, especially when we have some pretty low cost exile effects right now in white. Although in black, you're looking a little, you know, higher mana cost for exile effects. You've got Vraska's Contempt, but yeah, it's fairly playable. If it seems like a good checks and balances card that, you know, they like to print these every so often, and the fact that it's in a core set kind of signals that this is a card that's going to allow them to push design on some colorless creatures or vehicles or anything like that in the future without having to worry too much, because they've got this as a safety valve, because hey, those go out of control, you know, just put this in your deck.
Right. So, I mean, I agree with you 100% on the narrowness of this card. Like you said, like the only real targets for this is vehicles. In Standard, and I mean, Kaladesh is going to rotate out, you know, it's the next on the chopping block, so once they're gone, this card gets even more narrow. So, I mean, it's very interesting. It's obviously not a good limited card. You're never going to want to never grab this card. It's never going to do anything for you in any kind of limited situation. But, I mean, like you said, I do agree that it could signal that Wizard of the Coast is going to be doing something else with colorless, some kind of colorless creatures. Not sure what, since Eldrazi have already come and gone. But I mean, hey, like Ugin is probably going to come back at some point. He does colorless stuff.
Yeah, some people speculate he could be a creature card this time around, possibly. Very
he
possibly.
Could be,
maybe.
And we know of at least one Elder Dragon that could be coming back with M19, at least in creature form, who is an artifact or at least colorless. So maybe something there, but
yeah, still, Chromium, right?
Yes, Chromium. Yep. So I mean, but still very narrow, and might get some sideboard use. Yeah,
this is a time would tell card.
Yeah,
but as of right now, for Standard, I would give it a C. We are seeing a lot of vehicles right now, so if your deck is having trouble with that, unfortunately, the decks that are playing vehicles are red-black decks. So, but if you're playing like Black Control or something like that, it might be a sideboard card. Obviously, in Modern, it's very meta-dependent, and if Eldrazi starts taking up a pretty big share, but if you play Modern, you understand the meta shifts all the time. It's all based on how many decks people are bringing to tournaments. So, if all of a sudden one of those big Tron decks or Eldrazi decks starts rearing its head, this card will be there to keep it in check. So that's nice. And in limited, I would give this a pretty much a sideboard D to borrow from limited resources. It's if your opponent somehow puts together all the perfect stuff to make lots of colorless colorless creatures, then maybe it'll be playable. But I really doubt it.
Yeah, likewise. Stay away from it in limited, guys. That's all I gotta say. So, next card, let's take a look at Demon of Catastrophes. This is a big old demon creature for 2 generic double black. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature. It's a 6/6 flying trample demon. So yeah, big body, pretty cheap cost with the additional cost of sacrificing a creature. What do you think about it, Mike?
Well, it's got some parallels to other demons we've seen. They're always 6/6s for the most part, which is very flavorful for a few reasons. But 6/6 flying trample that you can get out as early as turn 4 could possibly see some play. It's a little bit limited because you need to be playing creatures that you're okay getting rid of, because you don't want a 2-for-1 yourself.
Right. There's
a good possibility that you sack creature, get this thing into play, and then they use instant speed removal, and then you feel like a chump. So
there are a lot of situations where this could cause you to get 2-for-1 for sure. From a limited perspective, I like the card a lot in limited. It does force you to have something on the board to actually play it, which you never want to have a card that is conditional like that. It's not always the best, but as a bomb, it's not so bad. I'd put it in.
Oh yeah, in limited, this thing is a house, because removal's more sparse typically. We don't know quite yet what M19's removal is, except we've already seen one and it only hits colorless. So a big black 6/6 trample flyer is gonna do some work. I don't know if you've played with Rite of Belzenlock at all in Dominaria standard.
Yes, I was actually gonna make just a connection with that real quick, because it's so funny how Demon of Catastrophes feels like it should have been just the token that Rite of Belzenlock created.
Oh, but then it'd be not nearly as good because it doesn't come with those tokens stapled onto it.
Exactly. It's not nearly as good like that, but it just feels like it's so similar to that. Like, you want to sacrifice the creatures, right? And Belzenlock gives you the creatures to sack, and then it summons a 6/6 flying trample demon.
Yeah. So I looked up some demons. So the closest analog to this is probably Desecration Demon, who he says at the beginning of each combat, an opponent may sacrifice a creature, and if they do, he stays tapped. If they don't, if they do, you get a +1/+1 counter on it, and it stays tapped. If they don't, then it gets to untap. And that one, it's a little better because it forces your opponent to sack things to keep it offline. But a synergy I just thought about, actually, the current Liliana, Death's Majesty. She can pull this thing out of the graveyard because it's not part of it's not an enters the battlefield effect that it has to sacrifice a creature. It's just part of the casting
in addition to its casting it,
So out of your graveyard, it's just a 6/6 trample. And then Liliana also makes the zombie tokens, so you'll always have fodder that you just created for free, off of doing her +1 ability, where you might have even milled another one of the demons. So there might be something there where if you just need a big flying body to reanimate for, pretty cheap, not too bad.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Still, I just think it's not impactful enough when it comes to like actual standard play. Removal is just too much of a thing. And if you do get 2-for-1, it just makes you feel really bad.
Definitely. Like, edge case playability maybe in like a Saproling's deck where, losing a 1/1's not the end of the world. And if you have Slimefoot out even, you might even get a, drain trigger on it. So, but other than that, I definitely agree. It's not the best. There's definitely been better. Like we mentioned, Desecration Demons, better.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely not awful. Definitely a really good limited pick. Its fate in standard might be lackluster.
And modern, not even close. There's just so many better demons. I don't think need to mention. And,
right.
Maybe in it's just another demon to add for if you're playing Demon Tribal in Commander. I'm sure somebody's trying to make that work.
You poor Commander players. Always trying to force things that don't work.
Yeah, just another one for any kind of tribal you might be doing. But other than that, I think that's really all there is to say about it.
Speaking of tribal, though, let's take a look at a new dinosaur in M19, Gigantosaurus. And what a fitting name. It is a 10/10 dinosaur for 5 green mana. Straight up, that's it.
Whew, man. Yeah, they're definitely making vanilla creatures a lot bigger than they used to.
Yeah, I mean, with the prevalence of exile effects and at pretty cheap costs, I mean, a thing like Gigantosaurus used to be like insane, unheard of. It's just pushing the bounds of what mana cost can get you. But I mean, it's a huge body for a cheap cost. And I was talking to Mike earlier about this, and just think of this in a mono green stompy deck. You get 2 elves out. It possibly get this out on turn 3. It's crazy. It's insane. A 10/10 on turn 3. It's insane. But I mean, as insane as that might be, there's just way too many ways to handle it. It doesn't have trample, so you can chump it with a bunch of guys. Exile effects out the wazoo, any kind of destroy effects. It's vulnerable to a lot of things.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the vanilla creature is just that, a vanilla creature, and this kind of reminds me of Grun the Lonely King.
Yes.
In current Dominaria Limited, he's not going to see any play in Standard unless you're playing like a weird fling deck, which hey, you totally could do with Grun, because if you kick him and he attacks alone, he's a 20/20, and then you fling him.
Yep.
That does seal the deal. But this guy doesn't even get that. He doesn't get the kicker where he can be a 20/20. He's just a 10/10 straight up.
You literally can't mix any other color with this guy.
No.
If you're playing him, you're mono green only.
Yeah, there might be an edge case where if you're playing like the Dinos deck, you do have a lot of mana dorks like Drover the Mighty can help you hit all those green symbols if you need them. But
yeah, but then the normal ones, the other what's his name? Just the cards that reduce your dinosaur cost by 1. They don't really have an impact on him, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, giving him haste would be amazing with the name escaping me right now. But the biggest thing we brought up is that he just doesn't compete with Ghalta. Ghalta is...
Yeah, I mean, it's just not Ghalta.
And honestly, by the same turn, 1, 2, 3, 5th, 4th or 5th turn, if you have Llanowar Elves out, he almost costs the same thing most of the time. Because you've already gotten... If you put a Steel Leaf Champion out on turn 2 or 3, Ghalta's already down to being about 5 mana. So,
yeah.
And you'd rather have a 12/12 Dino with Trample than a 10/10 vanilla, so...
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this guy can only go in one deck. It's Green Stompy. And Green Stompy already has huge bodies that just do so much more than this. I mean, Carnage Tyrant, why would you ever pick this guy over Carnage Tyrant, for example? There's only so many big bodies you can jam into one deck.
Exactly, and in Limited, it's going to be just kind of tough to hit that mana cost.
Oh, yeah, it's never... Like, if you somehow pull off a mono green draft, which is possible, I mean... Sometimes, then maybe, but I mean, it's not going to work in most limited cases. You're not going to have a monocolor deck, and I expect this guy he'll come around the table a few times probably.
But this is a core set. We probably could have led with this, but temper your expectations. The core set is designed to get people into Magic, and I gotta say, from that standpoint, this card's a win, because
absolutely,
new players just love big stats, and this guy is just stats on stats on stats. 10/10.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I agree 100%. The mechanics are going to be a lot less complex. Everything is going to be just completely generalized and not completely vanilla. I mean, although this card is very vanilla. Most of the cards are just going to have, kind of like evergreen text. And I mean, Gigantosaurus is just, I mean, its name is literally Gigantosaurus. I mean, any player of any experience level can pick it up and know exactly what it does. It is big, and that's it.
So from a flavor perspective, big win, I gotta say. Gigantosaurus.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect name. And it's eating a dragon. That is so cool.
I have to also admit that when Ixalan came out, I didn't really think that Wizards of the Coast would continue to make dinosaurs for the foreseeable future that Ixalan was in Standard. I didn't think that was going to be a tribe they were going to support. And while they haven't supported it like insanely, like they haven't produced like 10 new dinosaurs a set, they have added bits and pieces of dinosaurs in like Dominaria and now, M19. That makes me think like, wow, okay, so they actually care about this creature type.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if you've noticed, but in the commander community, dinosaurs is very popular. And I think,
is it? I actually had no idea.
I think that might be the explanation, because they're gonna probably just keep trickling them out, because right now it's like edge playable. There's not quite enough to like put together a dino tribal, but this thing probably fits pretty nicely in a curve at some point, and there's a ton of mana fixing in commander that you might be able to get this out a little easier. Overall, I think the flavor is the biggest win here. I give the flavor a pretty solid B+. I like the name, the art's awesome, and the flavor text is pretty good. Each tooth is the length of a horse, and new ones grow in every 16 days. Let's get a closer look. That's Vivian Reed. So
yeah, Vivian Reed. We're gonna take a look at her in a little bit, and I'll explain why she's popping up on a lot of flavor text in this set for big creatures, and I'll explain a little bit more why. But for me, like, this card is, it is just a C to me, despite it being so big for such a cheap price.
Yeah, overall, just a straight up average, maybe even a D, because of the mana cost. The mana cost is going to be very prohibitive no matter what format you're playing. So
yep, agreed. Anyway, let's move on to the next card. So we took a look at a couple rares. Let's go and jump to a common of all things. But this is a pretty nice common, I think. It is Aven Wind Mage. It is a 2/2 flyer for a 2 generic and a single blue. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, Aven Wind Mage gets +1/+1 until end of turn.
All right, so we got another wizard. Bird wizard, that is a very important subtype.
Wizard is very important because Adeliz exists.
And bird is very important because Nitzahone.
Exactly. So Nitzahone, this is a bird for your collection.
Yep.
But more importantly, the wizard. That's the real crux of its capabilities.
So starting out, we got a 3-cost 2/2 flyer. That's already a Windrake, and Windrake is always playable. It's just the definition of a C. It's
in limited. It is 100% fine.
Yep. But on top of that, we get pseudo prowess. So if you notice, at first glance, you're probably like, why doesn't it just say prowess? But in this case, what they've done is they've limited it to just instants and sorceries. So it's only half prowess, because prowess does trigger on artifacts and enchantments as well. So
yeah. But luckily, blue-red Adeliz kind of prowess aggro kind of decks, you're playing a lot of instants and sorcery spells.
Yep, and Adeliz is a legendary. So
yep.
Like based on the builds that I've seen, because blue-red wizards is actually a legitimate deck in standard. It's just not quite there. I'd say it's like a tier 1.5, maybe more like 1.75, because I don't want to call it a tier 2 deck, because it's beaten me plenty of times. Like
same. I've come across it a number of times.
It has a very explosive start. It's the kind of deck that if you get the right play sequence, you just kill it. I think I died on like turn 4 or 5, which is a pretty fast kill in standard. Obviously modern different, but standard, that's amazing. Course.
It's no red deck wins. It's no Chain Whirler deck or anything like that. But I think Aven Wind Mage itself adds an evasive body to that wizard's deck that just didn't exist before.
Oh, definitely. And with Adeliz out, you've got 2/2, and she's a 2/2. She gives it hexproof, not hexproof, prowess as well. Yep. So you play one.
So it gives it like double triggers off of instants and sorceries that you're gonna play.
Yeah. So if you have both of them out, you cast one Wizard's Lightning. That's 3 damage to their face, and then the Aven Wind Mage becomes a 4/4. Adeliz becomes a 3/3. So you're striking in for 10 damage with just these 2 creatures out and 10
evasive damage. 10 evasive damage at that. So it's really good. Like, we're harping on a common, but this is a really good design card from Wizards of the Coast in terms of promoting that wizard tribal.
Yep, for sure. Also, the art's pretty neat. I like the radial effect of that magic being drawn into its hands. You can see it's kind of casting a spell, which is perfect for the flavor of the triggering on sorceries and instants. So pretty cool.
Yeah. So quick note on the art. If you guys haven't heard, M19 is focusing around the lore of Nicol Bolas, kind of just like tracking his life and the major events that we don't really know too much about. Basically, just like the vagueness of some of the things that he's been a part of, and we're kind of getting more information on those. So we also know that a big part of the story for M19 is taking place on the plane of Tarkir. So Aven Windmage, obviously of the Ojutai brood, student of Ojutai, formerly known as the Jeskai before Sarkhan Vol, kind of changed everything on its head on that plane. But yeah, it's we're gonna see more than you would think of Tarkir leaning art, just because I think a lot of the story might be heading towards Tarkir.
Yeah, definitely. Although I have seen speculation that it does cross multiple planes because there is some.
Oh yeah, make no mistake, guys. The core set is going to cross multiple planes as we track the story of Nicol Bolas and how he interacts with those planes. In fact, we're going to look at another card right after this where it kind of proves that point right there. But it does look like a lot of the events might be centered around his encounter with Ugin on Tarkir, which is fueling the speculation that an Ugin card is going to come in M19.
Ooh, we can only hope. That'd be so cool.
Yes. So, in fact, the next card that we're going to take a look at is, like I mentioned, another kind of heavy lore card for the set, and that is Patient Rebuilding. This is an enchantment for 3 generic and double blue. At the beginning of your upkeep, target opponent puts the top 3 cards of their library into their graveyard. Then you draw a card for each land card put into the graveyard this way.
So, off the bat, this is the kind of the card that frustrates me. And obviously it takes place on Amonkhet, which is interesting. You can see in the reflection all the pyramids and the giant Bolas horns from the temples.
Yeah. He is definitely doing something to that plane. I'll explain a little bit of the lore behind it in a second. But first, Mike, I want to get your opinion on the card, how you think it would impact standard, and just your thoughts about it.
Yeah, so the reason this kind of thing frustrates me is it kind of represents an alternate win condition. I'm not a big fan of alternate win conditions, says the guy that just played Blue-White Teferi in standard at an RPTQ, where rounds went to time multiple times in the first game. Basically what you're doing here, you're just milling. Yeah, it's a classic mill strategy thing. You pair this up with Fraying Sanity or something like that. It just mills. I mean, you do get some value out of it, because if you do get lucky enough to hit some lands, you do get to draw cards when your opponent mills lands. It's just a little too inconsistent. I'm not a big fan of these kind of random effects like this, where it's like, maybe you'll whiff next turn, maybe you'll draw a card. Like, if you're going for a card draw engine, you have much better available, like Kamena's Awakening. That card, if you build the deck right around it, it can be a asymmetrical effect where only you draw cards. Whereas in this case, yeah, you might get lucky because a land gets milled. You might get unlucky and they don't mill land at all. I mean, it does have the terminal win condition of milling your opponent out. But I'm just not a fan of those kind of win conditions, so...
Mike, I agree 100%. So every time I see a card with an effect like this, I immediately see people saying, oh my god, mill's a thing. Guys, it's not going to be a thing in standard. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, this is very easy to pull apart in standard. There's just, there's cast out, naturalize. People are packing all sorts of hate for our enchantments right now, because enchantment removal is very good, like Seal Away and Cast Out are big targets. Vraska kills this thing. Lots of options. So putting the combo together is just going to be a little tough, and there's just better things to do for 5 mana. That's really what there is.
Exactly. Like it's too slow. You're not going to get the card draw every time it at the beginning of every upkeep. I mean, your opponent's not even going to miss the cards that this mills most likely, and unless it's out there for an egregiously long time. It's just, to me, it's too slow of a potential card advantage to be worth much.
Yeah, it's a misconception that a lot of newer players have, like, oh, I'm milling their cards, I'm getting their powerful cards out of the way. But honestly, anything that's in the deck is just a resource of the deck. Like, you can mill, one of their win conditions, but a well-constructed deck has multiple. So
exactly,
like, you might hit 1 or 2 here or there, and that'll feel good, and it is a bit of an advantage. But honestly, the deck is kind of a purgatory for the cards. Like, anything that you're milling there, you might even give them some value, because right now we have Aftermath cards and just a bunch of other things that can recur from the graveyard, Scrap Heap Scroungers, things like that. There are even some cases where it could be a downside that you're milling your opponent.
Yeah, very much so. But in terms of the art of this card, just going through the story of Nicol Bolas and his past and things that he's done that we haven't really gotten a lot of clarity on. And one of those things is his involvement on the plane of Amonkhet. So you guys already know the story of Amonkhet, how he went there and just beat the bejesus out of the Gatewatch and got his undead army and killed a bunch of gods. What we're hinted to in the actual story is how he first went to Amonkhet and kind of destroyed everything, like wiped it completely clean. So this is kind of like representing that part of Amonkhet, and I'm hoping that we get a little bit more context to it, like how he went there, went about deconstructing this world and rebuilding it in his image. So if you guys don't know, he went to Amonkhet well before the Gatewatch ever went there, and basically murdered every human on the plane above a certain age. Basically above a certain age where they could remember events, essentially, leaving the plane with just babies, you know? Literal toddlers and babies.
Yeah, he just made himself the god of the plane.
Exactly. He reconstructed everything from the culture, the religion, the perspectives of all of its people, and reprogrammed the gods, literally like they were computers, to worship him and to do basically his grand design and scheme for the plane, which was to make an army of, eternal zombies, essentially. So patient rebuilding. He took his time with this one. He destroyed it. He rebuilt it in his image. And I love the flavor of this card. The text, the card name, the art, all fits amazing with what they're trying to do with M19 and telling the overall tale of Nicol Bolas.
The painting itself is also very beautiful. I love the sky is very well done. It's all blended really well. And
just the reflection of the water mirroring what used to be, what he destroyed, and what he built. Perfect.
And that's why it's art by Magali Villeneuve. Mm-hmm. She's a really incredible artist, and she's done a lot of the key cards from the last few sets that you've probably seen, like Jaya Ballard.
Right.
And just tons of iconic cards lately. So, great art. Good job, Magali.
Yep. And not a great card for standard, and awful card for limited.
And modern, None of these cards, most of these core set cards are not going to have modern playability, except for the Infernal card. That thing could possibly.
Maybe, yeah. That probably has more value there than anywhere else, honestly.
Yeah.
So, all right, next card. Let's move on to an uncommon in Vampire Sovereign. It's a 3/4 flying vampire creature for 3 generic and double black. When Vampire Sovereign enters the battlefield, target opponent loses 3 life and you gain 3 life.
So really not too bad of a card. Now, will it see play in a standard vampires deck? I'm going to say no. We have...
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Mike. It's not going to see standard play in a vampire tribal deck or some kind of life gain deck or anything like that. There are a couple reasons why I wanted to talk about this card. One of them is the implication for limited. I think this is a very serviceable limited card.
Oh no, this is a really good limited card. I mean, 5 mana for a 3/4 flyer is already good on its own. And on top of that, you're stapling a drain for 3. That's really great. That's going to be a bomb in limited.
Yeah, it's really, really fantastic. But outside of that, I did want to talk about its flavor text. Your service shall be rewarded, quote, from Queen Leanne. Now, Queen Leanne is a character that we have not seen yet. In fact, her flavor text, this is like the only time that I think I've heard of her in all of Magic. So, and she has a couple of flavor texts on cards in M19. So it might be a character that we're introduced to, but I don't know in what context.
Well, pulling from some context clues, just based on the art itself, we have a vampire crusader in the foreground, and also the queen herself has like the wispy lower half that we saw with Twilight Prophet.
Yeah.
So, and just based on those, context clues in the art, I think it's probably Ixalan.
Mike, you're way ahead of me. That's exactly where I was going to go with this.
Yep.
Yeah, so it definitely, Queen Leanne must be from Ixalan. Maybe she is ruling Torazon, while Elandra is stuck sleeping in the Golden City somewhere. I'm not really certain. There's just not a lot of information out there. But I'm curious to see how, since this is a set so focused on the schemes and machinations of Nicol Bolas, what does Queen Leanne have to do with anything? Does Queen Leanne have some kind of interaction with Nicol Bolas when he's trying to skirt around Azor and Ugin's plans to trap him on Ixalan? I'm not entirely certain, but then again, not every card is going to reference Nicol Bolas in M19. But as far as vampires go, it looks like anything related to vampires in M19 is going to be centered around this Queen Leanne character, who most likely is a vampire of Ixalan.
Yeah, and it's also likely it could be from a whole nother era. because we haven't seen this queen, name dropped at all in Ixalan. It could just be a whole different, era that, she ruled in, because, Nicol Bolas's history spans hundreds, thousands of years. So,
exactly.
Yeah, it's really interesting that we might see like some of the more recent planes we visited, but at an earlier or later time. Pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people have been saying. That this is more like not a time travel set, obviously, because we're not going back and forth in between time, kind of like Sarkhan did during the Tarkir block, but more like we're examining events at different time periods.
Yeah, exactly. It's just kind of a time walk.
Exactly. Just like Guttersnipe's reprint, where you're looking into the future of Guttersnipe when he becomes decrepit and ugly.
Aw.
Perfect.
Good segue.
Yes, let's take a look at Guttersnipe, and he is hideous. He is, if you guys don't know, he's a 2/2 Goblin Shaman for 3 mana, 2 generic, a single red. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, he deals 2 damage to each opponent.
So if you've been playing Magic for any time at all, really, you probably already realize this is a reprint. It's an incredible reprint, though. Now, this card is very playable. It's seen play in Modern, I think, even, because with Storm and other decks like that play a lot of spells, every time you cast a spell, you're dealing 2 damage to each opponent. It also says each opponent, which makes it a really great card in Commander.
Yes.
It just all across the board. This is an incredible card. A 3 mana 2/2 body that is on a relevance creature type, and just has like all that affinity with spells where you're casting all of your spells. You just staple 2 more damage onto them. Like Bolt is now 5 damage. So
yes, exactly. So the only thing I will say is, sorry Guttersnipe, if that shaman sub creature type was just wizards, you'd just be amazing. You would be like one of the best cards out of M19 probably.
In Standard, possibly, yeah.
In Standard, yeah.
Again, this definitely, I don't know enough about Modern to say if it does see play now, but I know in Modern's past it's definitely been an all-star. And in Limited, this thing's also just going to be a bomb.
Agreed.
Because you assemble any amount of... This is definitely a build-around card. You pick this early, and then you pick up any burn spells, heck, any spells that you can find, and just play them out, and this thing will dome your opponent for almost 10 damage in a game easily. You just got to cast those spells and keep them alive.
So despite Guttersnipe not being a wizard, I can see him being put into the blue-red kind of prowess deck. Maybe.
Possibly. I think that deck really does want the synergy with Adeliz, giving everything prowess, but I could see an alternate version of that deck that might use him, like a little bit slower, more mid-rangey type deck.
Right. So another thing I just wanted to say is, obviously in Dominaria, they came out with a good amount of goblins and elves. That is a theme that I feel like they're going to continue in M19 in the following set. So be on the lookout for more goblins and elves to kind of fit into those pseudo tribals that they kind of started in Dominaria. I'm not sure how Guttersnipe would fit into that, to be honest, but he is another goblin, and I do think they're going to be printing a lot more goblins and elves going into the future, while that's still in Standard.
Oh, definitely. And if you want a little speculative build here, Guttersnipe goes pretty darn well with Siege Gang Commander.
Oh, yeah.
Because you get Guttersnipe out, you cast a couple spells, keep working your mana up, and then you drop Siege Gang Commander, and if you can keep him and his little goblin tokens he creates alive, he creates 3 tokens, and his ability says, 1 in a red, sack a goblin, deal 2 damage. So you've already been damaging your opponent with Guttersnipe's ability, and like hitting them in the face with spells. And then if you can play Siege Gang Commander, pass turn, get back to your turn, and just sack, and just sack your goblins, you'll just burn your opponent's face right off. So
yeah. One last thing on Guttersnipe before we transition here. That Magic 25 logo at the bottom left corner of the art.
Ugh.
Why?
Yeah, that's about all I can say. I don't understand
just why.
Yeah.
It's smack dab right in the middle, right, taking a big chunk of the art just and covering it with the M25 sticker. I think it's a hideous design choice, personally.
Obviously, this is a promo card, so we're not going to see that on any of the normal cards in packs. So yeah, don't worry too much. It's one of those things. If you don't like it, don't use that version of the card. But I agree, I don't like it. It kind of reminds me of the date stamps on your pre-release promos. I do not like those either.
Yeah, but this is even bigger and more egregious.
Oh yeah. So like I've gotten used to the. Maybe I'll get used to these too, but I kind of doubt it. It's too garish.
I don't want.
It cuts into the art. The thing with the date stamp, the date stamp lines up with the text box. You know, it's really low profile. I mean, it's a little shiny. It's got the gold foiling to it. But some people like that. It's commemorative. And I mean, obviously, this is trying to be commemorative too, but
yeah, it doesn't mark a date or anything. It just marks a year in Magic, which it's just a little less impactful to me.
And I know you said you don't like the design, but the art itself is amazing. I love the creature.
The art itself, yeah, despite Guttersnipe looking like he just got hit by a dump truck, it is a very beautiful piece of art.
Like the glow of the wand and the just the textures and skin is so good.
And the beautiful dead rat he's holding in his hand. Oh, look how he just lies there lifeless. Oh my god.
Okay.
They captured the life of that dead rat real well.
Good one.
Anyway, moving on. We got 2 more cards left that we want to cover tonight, and that is, let's take a look at Vivian's Invocation. So this is a sorcery spell for 7 mana, 5 generic, 2 green. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order when a creature is put onto the battlefield. This way, it deals damage equal to its power to target creature or target creature and opponent controls.
Wow. So that's a lot of text.
Yeah, that is a lot of text. And for a second there, as I misread the card live, I actually made the card sound better than it actually was. If it dealt damage to target opponents, it would be actually insane.
Oh, yeah. I mean, then Gigantosaurus suddenly becomes a really great card.
Yeah, but as it stands right now, I don't like it. It is way too expensive.
There's cases to be made. I don't... This is one of those cards. It's going to take somebody like a Saffron Olive to really break this card and figure out what deck it's going to be good in. Because there are a few creatures that would be pretty great to hit off this thing.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, there's Galta, there's Gigantosaurus.
Derigaz would be pretty great. Although, does it already get haste? Oh no, so since the creature doesn't get haste, Derigaz is actually a very good card to hit off this thing because you can attack with it the turn that it comes in.
Yeah, so getting a haste creature obviously is a big bonus with this, and not to mention it's whatever you play, it's going to be big enough, most likely, to basically kill whatever it like pseudo fights with.
Ooh, or a Tali. Oh, he doesn't have haste. Never mind.
Yeah,
but yeah, if it just had haste, I think it would be much more playable. But the fact that it doesn't, because the problem with these kind of cards is they're just too inconsistent for standard. You don't want to cast 7 mana and possibly just whiff. And
exactly, unless your deck is filled to the brim with 10 power plus creatures. I mean, even if you get like a 5/5 out, it's gonna feel kind of bad.
Yeah, and like with 7 cards, you're going to hit a creature. Like if you whiff on that, oh, I feel bad for you because the odds are incredibly low. But if you're playing a 7 mana sorcery, it's very likely that you're playing Llanowar elves, other ramping creatures that are trying to help you hit that mana to begin with. You need to ramp this out
early.
So if you have one of those still in your deck and you hit a Llanowar elf, you're gonna be like, what do I do?
Yeah,
you're not gonna fight just a 1/1 into anything.
Since this spell has a situation that would be disastrous if you played it, and it could possibly just cost you an entire turn, that alone puts it in a realm where I'm just like, kind of hesitant to play with it.
Yeah, and I know it's practically mimetic at this point, but commander playable.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, even in standard, I think this could have a place in a green ramp deck. But I mean, it's still going to have the downfalls that we've already listed. And obviously in limited, this card is just not going to hit anything that you want on more occasions than you'd think. It's just not going to hit you anything good.
You just don't have the density of high mana cost, high power creatures.
Nah, you're gonna spend 7 mana and get a 3/3 and maybe kill something when it comes into play.
Yeah, but for 7 mana, value. Not a good deal.
Awful value on it. Yeah. But the planeswalker that this card is referring to is a whole different story. Kinda.
Yeah, kind of.
Kinda. The planeswalker is Vivian Reed, a 3 generic double green legendary planeswalker that comes into play with 5 loyalty counters. It has a +1 ability. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature or land card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Has a -3 ability. Destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying. And a -8 ability. You get an emblem with creatures you control get +2/+2 and have vigilance, trample, and indestructible. Oh, that was a lot.
You had me right up until creature with flying.
Yep. So this card would be 100% passable as a very decent planeswalker, except for those 2 last words in its -3 ability, with flying. Talk about narrow removal. I mean, -3 to destroy target artifact or enchantment is actually still not awful, but in defending herself from your opponent's creatures, she is narrow and won't often be able to do that.
Nope, this is definitely already relegated to sideboard play just thanks to that clause. Obviously, if the meta all of a sudden became, like blue-white flyers all day, I still don't even think it would be playable, because if they are playing blue-white flyers, they have evasive creatures that are just going to finish her off because she's down to 2 loyalty. So,
exactly. She takes down 1 and she's down to 2 loyalty. You're not going to have flyers to block if you're playing green,
Yeah, the math just does not work out on this one, unfortunately. And it stinks because I love the character design. Just awesome all around.
Too.
Spectral creatures. We don't see archers, very often, especially not as a planeswalker. And I love the idea of the magic bow, like is one of the coolest tropes in fantasy, in my opinion. And
yeah,
it's disappointing.
So my main thing with archers in MTG is, why do they always target things with flying? Like, I know you can shoot a bow and just point it down just a little bit and shoot something on the ground. I know you can.
Yeah, she even has ground creatures with her. So let's talk about that from the flavor perspective.
Yeah, we have to talk about the design of this card. Okay, so let me just give you guys a little background real quick. So Vivian Reed was actually teased in a Wizard of the Coast survey where they were talking about planeswalkers and people's preferences and stuff like that. And they kind of teased Vivian Reed at the end as a reward for taking the survey. It's really nice. They didn't give much information on her, just like this elvish looking, green looking planeswalker with a bow. And now that we see her ears from the side here, I don't think she's actually elf. No. Although we're not really given much clarity on what she is. She's probably just a human, but she is very like naturalistic. And in a little story, well, not a story, but in a little just a little excerpt of text to go along with her character, we do know a little about her. She comes from a plane known as Scala, and she's a part of a tribe that's in a deep forest. And civilization is encroaching on her and her people, and it's causing devastation in the forest. In her art, you can see a bunch of downed trees, for example. So she's not having a fun time with civilization encroaching. You don't really get much of a feel what the civilization is. Is it Ravnica-esque, where it's like a city kind of expanding? Or is it just like people of another tribe kind of like encroaching on our land? We don't really know much. But what we do know is that Bolas comes and basically destroys her plane anyway. So it's gone. We get no context on that whatsoever. We just know Bolas comes and destroys her home plane. She gains her Planeswalker spark at some point, and she leaves, and she kind of goes and just finds wildlife. So as a character, Vivien communes with animals to a very deep relationship kind of level, a spiritual level. And she did that on her homeworld of Scala. And she has in possession with her this magical, almost more like technological bow. So it's like a mix of technology and magic. I think it's called the arc bow, something like that. And what the bow does, it traps the essence of animals within it. So she kind of carries the spirits of every animal that she encounters. And it's like her companions and her allies in combat, which is really funny for the design of this card. We're going to talk about that in a second. But she's basically like a Pokemon trainer of Magic the Gathering. She's capturing spirits of animals in her bow and releasing them when she wants. She's not only a Pokemon trainer of MTG, but a zoologist. you see her flavor text in a lot of creature cards in M19, and that's because she studies them, she learns about them, she captures them within her bow, like a Pokemon trainer. And that's kind of like her story. And when she was first revealed, like I kind of already knew that she was going to be in, and like I've even made a video. I can leave a link of it in the description below. But she just felt like a core set planeswalker that wasn't really going to do much in the overarching story, and that's exactly where she's probably going to be. We don't even know if she's going to be in this story since it's focused on Bolas, and even though Bolas destroyed her home plane of Scala, I don't think there's going to be much connection there. So if you are invested in Vivian Reed as a character, don't be, because you're probably not going to see her again.
Yeah, and I mean, I like, like we said, the design is excellent. I just wish the flavor matched the text on the card a little bit more. Like, why does she not summon any creature tokens? This is like the perfect planeswalker to have, summon wolf tokens, summon, a cougar token of some kind.
Yeah, she literally has spirit token animals all around her that would have been amazing to go with her. But even her -8 ability, I mean, it just gives creatures +2/+2 and a bunch of, evergreen text.
Yeah, I feel like if you mashed her and Arlen Cord together, you'd have a much better planeswalker.
Yeah, two planeswalkers that are lost to Wizards of the Coast time that you'll never see again.
Pretty much.
Maybe if you mashed them together, you could get a planeswalker that would, last longer than a set. But in this case, I'm sorry, guys. I know there's a lot of hype around new planeswalkers when they drop, and as beautiful as this art is, and as interesting as a character as Vivian Reed might potentially be, this card is not an indication that she's here for the long haul.
Yeah, if anything, it's just a plug to set up for Magic Infinity War coming up in the fall. She might have like a little cameo, in the final fight with Bolas, but
maybe. I would say that's even pushing it, to be 100% honest. A lot of people, when they saw her art, they were like, oh my god, this is the new replacement Green Walker. It's going to replace Garrick. It's going to replace Nissa because Nissa left. She's not. She's not replacing any of those green planeswalkers, guys. Sorry to say it, but I mean, that bow just, even though technically it can kill Bolas if he was a regular creature card, which is a thing that they're probably going to do in M19, mind you. She actually could kill Bolas with her -3.
Yep, on the board at least.
Exactly, on the board. So that might be a very funny flavor thing, but outside of that, it doesn't really mean much.
So, just a little fan theory I just came up with. Is she the hand holding the Lifecrafter's bestiary from Kaladesh?
Yeah.
The Pokédex. She's got the Pokédex.
Yeah, exactly. You think it's her?
Oh, no. I'm just joking, but it kind of fits with the flavor of her Pokemon trainer aspect. But
yeah, so that is really funny. And I mean, that's what she's all about, just going around kind of identifying and just examining creatures throughout the multiverse. So as a returning character in core sets, she might actually be perfect. Since core sets kind of explore multiple planes at one time, maybe they can use Vivian Reed, at least in flavor text, to kind of explain and talk about different species of creatures that we don't see very often.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was gonna say, maybe they're playing games here and this is just a plant for a future set. That would be incredible. I'd love to see her come back, as a better planeswalker card in the future. Maybe once the Gatewatch, doesn't have such a great time with Bolas. Maybe they're just recruiting for the new generation, but also from just a marketing standpoint, excellent card. The art is on point. Like I said, I think people love Rangers. I think they're pretty in right now. You're lots of movie tie-ins with the Hunger Games, things like that with bows. So from getting a new players into the game standpoint, I think it's a really solid move to have a good key art character that you can put as one of the faces of the set.
Yeah, exactly. And as a new planeswalker for newer players, I mean, she's completely fine.
Oh yeah,
the things that her abilities, they're all very easy to understand, easy to kind of comprehend. I should let everyone know that this is probably not going to be the only planeswalker in M19. If you saw the packaging art for the packs for M19. I mean, we see Tezzeret on there, we see Liliana Vess on there, we see a Johnny Goldmane. So there's a bunch of potential planeswalkers that we could see. It just looks like right now Vivian Reed might not be the best.
Yep. Well, maybe
Sadly.
next time. I really hope they give her next time because she's really cool.
You just got to change that with flying text and delete it, and then she's instantly okay.
Yep, really would be.
But yeah, even in limited, even though planeswalkers are typically really good in limited, I mean,
I think she'll be
it's
decent enough.
It's not bad. It's not bad. I'm not gonna say she's bad for limited. I mean, her +1 alone is good enough for limited, honestly. But she just doesn't have a way to protect herself, which means she's just not going to last very long in most situations.
Yeah, like in a lot of limited sets, if murder is printed, which it looks like it's going to be based on the promo that they've had floating around, murder is going to be a higher pick in limited than Vivien, because it's just unconditional destroy target creature. This is very conditional destroy target creature, along with a like ponder type effect where he gets to look for a creature, which again is not the worst. Like, getting to dig for a creature is pretty good, and 4 cards, your odds are pretty high that you're going to hit a creature if you have a creature down.
And if not, you get a land. So I mean,
or land,
creature or land. So I mean, it's card advantage. It really is. It's going to be card advantage no matter what it is. It just, I don't know if that's enough for the creature itself.
Yeah, it'll all depend on how quick the format is. If the format's as slow and grindy as Dominaria, she's probably like a C+. Anything else to say on it?
Nope, not really.
All right, well, I think that'll wrap up spoilers for tonight. Thanks so much for having me on, Seiben.
No, of course, Mike. And of course, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you just give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel so you can catch all of our latest videos. And of course, in the comment section below, we want to know all your guys' thoughts on these cards. And what do you think they have, what kind of impact they might have in Standard coming up, or if you have any ideas on them for Limited, just let us know in the comment section below.
Yeah, and if we might have missed a card that got spoiled, or there's one that you want us to talk about, let us know. I think we'll probably do another one of these, right?
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, we just spent an hour talking about 10 cards, so...
Yeah, we're probably not going to cover the whole set. We might in a different type of video that you might see coming up here, but as far as these reviews like this, we'll probably keep it to just a handful, so whichever ones we see getting the most support in the comments, or ones that really interest us, we'll probably do those in the next one.
Yeah, as you guys can tell, we get pretty long.
So yeah.
So maybe less time to actually go over those in depth like we're doing with these cards. But for sure, we'll be back for more M19 spoilers. But until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching us here on the Aether Hub.